Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dynamics 365 Community AMA. My name is Fawad Khan, and I am responsible for the Dynamics community. We are so excited to bring you this next episode of the AMA event we are holding today. We have a series of AMA events where we bring in product leaders and product owners to come and talk to you about their strategy, their vision, and the new updates that are coming to our products in the Dynamics 365 ecosystem. And you also have an opportunity to ask them questions. So we are really excited to have you on board with us today. It's my pleasure to introduce Manoj Swaminathan today. He is the General Manager of Supply Chain Management for Dynamics 365. And he will be talking about his vision for his product and then taking questions from you all. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Manoj.
Thank you, Fawad. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you again for joining this edition of the community session with me. So I have a couple of slides that I thought would be a good set of introduction to walk you through in terms of what we are focusing on with regards to from a supply chain management standpoint. And then we'll open it up for Q&A. So at a high level, when we think about supply chain management, so these are the four set of industries is how we are looking at as our core horizontal set of capabilities that we want to focus on. So as a customer, you could be a manufacturer, or you could be a wholesale distributor, you could be a retailer, both in the context of a traditional brick and mortar source or more towards the e-commerce, the digital commerce way in terms of how you could probably be selling. Or it could be a combination of all of these, like be a manufacturer, distributor, and a retailer if you were to. Or if you're purely into the services side of the business, and you could be in the IT services, or you could be in project-based set of, any of those combinations that I talked about as well, like project-based manufacturing, you would have supply chain requirements. And those are the primary set of customers that we're focusing on as part of when we try to provide capabilities out of the box. And we try to do this in a more standalone fashion if we were to, so that we can obviously integrate any kind of financials requirement with Dynamics 365 Finance and human capital, sort of human resources requirement using our human resources solution as well. But it doesn't mean that it needs to be only working with D365, but you could possibly have this work with any other set of financial system and a HR system if you choose to as well. And we have customers use this with varied combinations and in terms of, but our key focus is with those four set of core industries that I talked about, with certain set of specializations brought with our third-party solutions as well, if you were to. From a product capability standpoint is where we are, and if you just want to drill down to the specific set of things is what we support today with the product, right? So this is current set of capabilities as we try to describe supply chain management at a next level of detail. So we describe them using those 5 pillars that you see there: product information management, planning, inventory and logistics, manufacturing, and the asset management. With the product information management as an ability for you to be able to describe everything that you do with regards to in the context of you being able to have a product defined that you are selling to your customers. And we've introduced a set of capabilities that allow you to be able to actually manage the life cycle of the product, right from the ideation all the way for the product to be launched in market, as well as based off of how the product is received, perceived, and the changes that you do towards the product life cycle is something that you will be able to track as well. In a way, as how we've actually done this. And this is also an area where we actually integrate with a good set of PLM solutions out of the box today. On the planning side, we support 2 flavors of planning. So one is what we call as the demand planning, and the second one is around what we call as supply planning, if you were to. And then the demand planning primarily looks at past sales history, and then provides a view in terms of what your projected forecast of the demand could be for a particular product, depending on how you have actually defined those. And the supply planning is an aspect that allows you to be able to, and this is today in the context of the product, is known as the master planning capabilities. And this allows you to be able to, for the demand that you have firmed, as well as the orders that you have at hand, what are the materials that you need to actually buy from a raw material standpoint, or if you're in a distributor, what do you need to actually buy to stock, as well as if you are in the manufacturing and you're using in the context of manufacturing, what do you need to produce and how do you need to produce as well from a scheduling standpoint, or if you are looking at with the warehouse distribution standpoint, is where do you have inventory and where do you need to have that inventory moved, and in terms of, so it can give you recommendations to us, what do you need to buy, what do you need to produce, and what do you need to transfer based off of the inventory requirements as well. So that's our planning story today, and there's set of things that what we are doing around continuing to invest in this space to expand the footprint of our capabilities around the planning as well. Inventory and logistics, along with everything that what we try and do with regards to, enabling customers for them to be able to do their sales life cycle and the procurement life cycles in its entirety. Inventory and logistics supports both the physical management and the movement of goods across your complete supply chain, if you were to, and the financial aspects of things in terms of how they get recorded in your GL, as well as the cost valuation aspects of things as well. From a fulfillment standpoint, we support warehouse management capabilities and transportation aspects as well. We're fairly light from a transportation perspective if you look at enabling the last mile carrier aspects of things. So we do that today with integrations with the carriers, if we were to, and in terms of, we don't do that directly out of the box. And when you look at from a manufacturing standpoint, so this is one of the strengths in terms of what we do, and we continue to invest quite a bit in this space as well. As from a typical manufacturing processes standpoint, so you could be a discrete process or a lean-based manufacturer, or you could have a mixed mode manufacturing as well, for example, like a discrete and a process combined. And we support the manufacturing planning, the scheduling aspects of things, along with an ability for you to be able to track the manufacturing execution in a connected as well as in a disconnected mode. And that's where the IoT intelligence really comes into play, with a set of analytics that we provide out of the box as well, that you can actually understand how your production is running in an efficient manner or not. We've also introduced a new capability around managing the assets that you use to actually produce or run your operations, and in terms of, and that is basically through the enterprise asset management capabilities offered as an add-on to the supply chain management today. And then that supports an ability for you to be able to track your assets in real time, as well as manage the availability of the assets by doing the necessary set of maintenance, whether they are done in the reactive way, preventive way, as well as in a predictive way if we were to. And in that, with all of the work orders that you probably need to be able to actually manage, track, and there's a level of automation that we provide as well, and there's continued investments in this space as well. So this is today in a way as what we do from a supply chain management standpoint as capabilities. As you think about evolution and in terms of where we are heading, as you think about everything that I talked about on those functional capabilities, all those 5 pillars, we're continuing to invest on features that we try to bring additional set of capabilities in all of those 5 pillars, if you were to. But we're also making some architectural changes to the product in such a way. So there's certain aspects of the product we're doing it in a different way to meet a newer set of requirements, if you were to think of it that way. So a couple of examples around some of these architectural changes that we're doing as well. So certain capabilities where we really need high responsive requirements or high throughput requirements, we're moving those sets of processes into its own microservice, completely disassociated from the back office D365 supply chain, deployed in a different way so that it can actually take advantage of our ability to be able to scale with Azure, supporting multiple customers' requirement in a single service model if we were to, but also allows you to be able to work with Dynamics 365 in a more seamless way without having customers see the difference in terms of it being a different component if we were to. So the microservices investment is a huge set of an architectural change that what we've done. So there's a couple of services I'm using here as an example. The planning optimization, which does the same set of things as what our current master planning does. But the idea is that we've taken the whole of master planning set of things, which is basically the supply planning stuff that I talked about, into its own microservice that allows you to be able to get what the master planning used to do in the context of 4 to 8 hours, and in terms of as a batch process, we do this almost in near real time. Right, so there's still continued investments in terms of making sure that this brings parity to what we do today from a master planning standpoint, as well as we're looking at avenues to focus on enhancing our planning capabilities with investing further in the planning optimization space. An example of this could be like, demand-driven MRP type things are some of the capabilities that we're introducing, but we're not introducing those in the classic planning world. We're introducing them as part of the planning optimization, and we're also working with every customer of ours to see how we can move them towards the planning optimization as well. So that's one aspect in the context of a high throughput set of requirements. On the highly responsive set of requirements, inventory on hand is an information that every customer is looking for. And it's probably one of the most used set of capability from a product standpoint, if you were to, whether you'll use it from a context of a supply chain, finance, or any aspects of the product, even from the commerce standpoint as well as any sort of external channels or other means by which you actually support your customers today. And this is one of the most used SQL as well as most expensive SQLs as well, if you were to think about from a backend standpoint. So this is another opportunity where we've reimagined this as a microservice that allows us to be able to actually look at providing inventory in on-hand information in a highly responsive way, but we're also making this to be available as a distributed service, so that no matter where you access this from, you will actually get a responsive solution towards the inventory on-hand information. But we have not only made this work with D365, but also as something that you can work with any legacy system or other operation systems of record can feed information into inventory service, with you having inventory service as the only front end to any system that requires inventory information. So those are some of the good examples, and in terms of where we are moving the needle towards, highly responsive, highly scalable set of services, if we were to. And when you think about supporting resiliency as a requirement, we have a lot of customers who have said that they cannot have the option of having production down because of the back office need to be running for a maintenance reasons, or because of your back office systems are hosted somewhere in the cloud, but your production facilities or warehouse facilities might be located in some remote location, and having to have real-time sort of back and forth traffic between where the facility is to where you're hosted the D365. An ability for us to be able to support resilient set of operations. We've done what we call as a distributed mode, or also known as a means by which we can have scale units deployed to support certain set of workloads today, independent of what you can actually do as an entirety in your D365 SCM back office solution. Two of those workloads that we have enabled are the manufacturing execution and the warehouse execution, are the two aspects that what we have enabled as a scale unit that you can deploy in a data center closer to where your facilities are, and have that connected with your main back office D365 solution. And you can also deploy them locally in your own hardware today. And if you do that, you can also operate as an offline solution for your manufacturing execution and warehouse execution as well. So that's a fundamental set of architectural change that we've done as well to the overall way as how you can actually deploy the solution to support resiliency on certain set of operations. And our goal is to actually continue to enhance this, if you were to. And the third capability that what we have been focusing on is we're also carving out certain aspects of the product today to enhance them in such a way as a standalone set of capability that allows you to be able to actually work with obviously D365 for that particular functional need, but also can work with any ecosystem that you probably would have as part of your as a customer's ecosystem today, in terms of different operation systems of record, different homegrown set of systems that you probably would need for you to be able to actually support. And one of the examples that I wanted to use today is what you see here as the IOM, which is nothing but the Intelligent Order Management. So we made an announcement about this as a public disclosure as part of our Ignite conference. So this is something that I wanted to bring you. So today, customers, if you look at it just purely from an order management standpoint, deal with multitude of order source systems today, whether this could be an e-commerce system or it could be other channels by which you could actually get the orders in, or in the context of a B2B, it could even be through the traditional means like EDI. if you were to. So there's could be multitude of sources through which you can actually receive customers' orders. Our solution, what it does is to be able to support connecting to any of those systems as an out-of-the-box way so that we can get all of those orders sourced into one central way. And this is a CDS native set of application as how this works as a standalone application. So we bring them into CDS, and then using our distributed order management capability, we determine the best way to fulfill that order. And we take that order and orchestrate the fulfillment as well. And when we do the orchestration and the fulfillment from an outbound standpoint, again, from a fulfillment is done using a multitude of combinations like, the customer's first party set of warehouse management solutions, or they might outsource this to a third party logistics provider as well. And they might work with a bunch of carriers depending on how they wanted to take care of the last mile delivery of that product. The fulfillment connects with any of those systems and all of those if we were to, and the system orchestrates the fulfillment by providing end-to-end visibility to the brand owner in terms of how the orders are flowing in and how best they are determined from a fulfillment execution standpoint, and orchestrate that fulfillment so that we could automate the organization's order management requirement without requiring them to rip and replace their system. So we can connect to the existing system. So what that truly means is if you use an SAP system and a demand mare for the commerce, if you were to, and then a bunch of homegrown mobile applications that you support for your end consumer order placements type stuff, we could have all of those connect to the order management using the connector ecosystem that we provide. And then on the fulfillment side, it can obviously connect with D365, but it can also work with an SAP warehouse system or an Oracle warehouse system or a Manhattan system if you were to, and work with UPS, FedEx, or any of those third-party carriers that what you might be using in the context of tracking all the way up to the last mile delivery if you were to. So that's what we intend to do with the intelligent order management solution. It's one of the capabilities that we just landed as part of our Ignite. I'm super excited to actually share this information with you as well. So hopefully you're excited as much as I am. So with that set of introduction, I wanted to open it up for Q&A.
Thank you. That was a great presentation, Manoj, and very informative, and excited to hear some of the new things that are coming out. And then to the audience, if you have questions, please go ahead and put them into the Q&A, and I will publish them as I ask. So the first one we're going to ask, and I apologize if you covered this in your presentation, as some of the questions were submitted in advance, but we'll go through and you can expand. Can we expect enhancements in regard to inventory valuation, especially multi-GAAP inventory valuation?
Sure. So there's work that what we are doing today with regards to the way as what we support with our costing. So we've actually worked on enhancing that capability around supporting a multiple valuations and in terms of how you could actually go do the costing. And we've also, as part of this process, moved that effort towards its own microservice, if we were to. So that gives you a much better scale as well. And that's the capability that what you're referring to. The inventory costing aspects of things is the one that what we intend to actually bring as part of making it generally available as part of our the wave coming from basically April through the July timeframe. So that's basically the time that which we would bring this capability. And what we are also looking to enhance beyond that is our ability to be able to support manufacturing aspects of those costing as well. So basically the production part, and that's something that you can expect for the remainder of the calendar year. And in terms of, so those are the things that what we are targeting today. And then these things can subject to change and in terms of what, from an exact timeline perspective, but our current plan of record is to be able to bring the inventory aspects of this to be generally available as part of our July update, and then towards the end of the calendar year for the production costing as well. So that's the current plan of record.
Great, thank you. And does that answer the question? Then we received a couple of questions around the cost accounting, additional functionalities, and easier handling, and what investments we'll see made there in what time frame?
Yeah, so the time frame part is what I just said, and
yeah.
So let me just go through this. So in a way, as how we are going to be doing this. So this is going to be based off of a foundation that what we are referring to as a microservices foundation that I talked about as well. So just to kind of take a step back and talk about what those what that really means is so the concept of microservices in itself is not new, right? So that's something that you have as a foundation, and there's a bunch of capabilities that we have as part of Azure as well. So what we have done from the applications group perspective is there's a series of things that what we have made as a foundation that allows us to be able to build certain capabilities as services if you were to, and that's what we are referring to as a microservices platform. Our goal is to not expose that platform, but these capabilities that what we are enabling as microservices will be made available to you as a SaaS solution if you were to. And hence, you will have an ability for you to be able to onboard into using any of these services that what we provide. So for example, from a planning optimization standpoint, if you have an F&O environment today, and you should be able to actually see planning optimization and lifecycle services, and you can add the planning optimization service to your particular F&O environment that you want to use it. And that is how you onboard that service. And then you have configurations from that point on within the application for you to be able to go in and use it. So that's the same behavior you see for the inventory visibility service as well that I talked about. That's what you should expect with the costing service as well. And so there are no other prerequisites that you should actually have. But to be very clear, today the services is in its preview stage, and the underlying microservices foundation or the platform is also in its preview stage, that which we are actually validating by working with a set of customers to make sure we have a strong set of experience with the planning optimization work that we have done today. The same level of engagement and usage is not there into the other services today. And until we reach a level of confidence with some of the customers' usage around the preview capabilities, that's the thing in terms of what prevents us from actually making this to be broadly available. From an end user, end customer standpoint, there isn't anything but a few set of steps that you would actually go through to enable that service for your environment is all that you would have to actually expect as things that you would have to go in and do. If you are a developer in this space, we do have some means in terms of how we expect to support extensibility, but this will not support the traditional means of extensions as what you used to do, like having inline code base set of extensions that what we have done in the X++ world. We're not going to go in and support it that way. And there would be a means in terms of how we would do pre-post based set of extensibility. And we have done that in the context of planning optimization, and we'll share more updates in the community and in terms of how you could actually go in and extend. Tied to each of these services as how we expect those extensions to be enabled as well. But from a prerequisite standpoint, as long as you're running in a certain set of version that has this service enabled, because some of these services are in preview, we have to enable them for you. But when you do have those enabled, and you would be able to actually tie them with the F&O environment, and you can actually go further configure from within F&O at that point in time. So that's the experience that you should expect in terms of what you're seeing. That should answer those questions, hopefully. And if it's not, please ask away for additional set of clarifications as well.
Great, thank you. Our next question is, how will the DOM capabilities within D365 supply chain connect with the order orchestration service that was just announced? Will they be included as part of the order orchestration service?
That's a great question. So we are, so the distributed order management today is something that we had released as part of our commerce. And so that experience is also something that we have moved into its own microservice, and that's included as a standard capability along with the intelligent order management solution now. So when you actually have the IOM subscribed, part of that will also include the distributed order management capabilities as well. So as you get the orders in, It's just native to the intelligent order management solution. So it would actually inspect the orders coming in real time and provide recommendations. And it's not like a batch process that what you currently might be used to. So this basically allows you to be able to inspect the orders in real time, determine the best way to fulfill, and take the fulfillment plan, and we should be able to orchestrate the fulfillment as well. And that's exactly as how the IOM is designed.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to switch over. We're getting lots of questions, but I'm going to switch over to some that were submitted in advance, just real quick. About the new product floor execution feature, does PFE support report progress for catch weight items? And if it's not supported, is it on the roadmap?
So process aspects of things is something that we are working on as a part of our production floor experience enhancements. Today, what it supports predominantly is around the discrete aspects of things, and we're still not there yet in terms of its entirety. So that's actually in our roadmap in terms of what we are looking at. Some of these capabilities you will see land as part of our July update, and then the remaining would be complete by our October update.
Great, thank you. And Rakesh asks, are there any plans to bring the capability in forecasting to enable the multi-instance ability?
So without delving into too much details, Rakesh, I think, so this is an area we are investing. We're investing in different forms if we were to. And looking at, how can we actually leverage the data? Because what we support today is fairly primitive when it comes to the demand planning aspects of things. So our hope is that we can actually enrich that with some of the assets that we already have in terms of being able to actually get, have this run in a similar mode like what I talked about as the services set of capability. But as we go in and do this, how can we actually leverage our data assets in the best way possible to actually enrich, not only looking at the sales information, but also to be able to actually provide other sources of data as a means and in terms of how we could actually provide a best forecast plan if we were to, and in terms of, so that's an investment that we are working on. So there's no timeline defined for this yet. So stay tuned. And as we have some of these things firmed up, we'll actually share more details with you. But it's certainly an area that we are looking at today. In the absence of our own set of product capability in some of these areas, today we are having customers resort towards using some of our partner solutions. And if there's a specific set of requirement, feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to actually recommend an appropriate solution as well in that space to you guys.
Okay, great. So I've gotten a couple of questions around Tier 2 Plus. So let me read them both to you and we'll package them together. Is there any plan to enable partners to test the different services, e.g. planning optimization, in environments that are not Tier 2 Plus, meaning cloud hosted? And then a follow-up, the microservice at this time are available only in Tier 2 Plus environments. How can we manage the extension test on Tier 1?
So if I say that I didn't expect this question, that would be a lie, right? So I think, this is good. So I think, so the idea is that we're actually doing a set of changes from within, and you will see an announcement as well as part of our April set of announcements. So there's a work that what we are doing to actually bring ease access to the Tier 2 Plus, if you were to, so that you can actually take advantage of some of these microservices. As part of enhancing the microservices foundation in itself as well, we internally use what we call as the one box type setup. From an engineering standpoint, we're looking to expose that as well. But what would come first for the benefit of this audience is that you have an access to the Tier 2 Plus that you should be able to actually go use to validate as well as know about all of these microservices as how they tie in with the F&I environment, while we try and provide the support for what we also call as the one box. I don't have a timeline for the one box, but you should see the enablement of partners to be able to actually go validate with the Tier 2 Plus starting with the April update.
Okay, great. And is this related to that as well? The microservices architecture will change a lot in the customization of Microsoft solution. What will be the ability to extend? And at this moment, for example, planning is a black box in terms of code. So will be available documentation or source code? Sorry.
So that's a great question, Elena. I think the idea is that there are certain things we absolutely want it to be, contained, if you were to, in the context of what can be extended and what we don't want it to be extensible. And the reason for that is because some of these things are kind of the heart of those processes that we wanted to make sure that we are able to actually keep that aspect of it. The influencing set of logic that could possibly have variations or changes to that, we want to be able to actually have that done before it gets into the core engine, and then you're able to actually take the result set and then modify further if we were to. We have actually worked with few of our partners today who have extended planning, for example, where they've done a lot of these master planning capabilities, and we're having them to move towards the pre-post approach. And we'll actually share into the community as well in terms of how we are actually enabling the pre-post, but it's nothing but a simple pre-post mechanism in terms of how you could actually extend any sort of solution today. And that's basically what we have done with the planning as well. And that's kind of the mode in terms of how we expect to support the microservices. So you would have event as a means and in terms of how you can actually tie your changes to the pre-post as a means and in terms of how it is with less modifications that you would be doing directly into the core set of things and in terms of what we provide as an engine. That's going to be the patterns and in terms of what you would see with planning, costing, service that I talked about, etc. in terms of as we go forward.
Thank you. So Ludwig asks, will we see improvements in regards to production scheduling? I'm especially thinking about the new universal resource scheduling feature that is available, for example, for project operations.
It's a great question. So we're actually looking at the URS capabilities, Ludwig. I think we first wanted to understand, what's like the art of possible if we were to, in the context of, what we could realistically go in and do outside of actually bringing in scheduling in a similar lens, like how we could actually go in and do this with the planning optimization. There are no major enhancements planned on that front, where we're absolutely looking at URS to see if that's a capability that we could bring in as well, so that we could provide a rich set of scheduling capabilities, not only factoring in the machine as a resource, but also people as a resource aspects as well as we go in and plan. So we've done this in somewhat of a capability with our warehouse for you to be able to do workforce planning in the warehouse as well as track the actuals with that. And we're looking at URS as a potential target capability that we could snap to for the production and the warehouse aspects from a resource planning standpoint. So that's kind of where we are heading. But it's too premature for us to be able to say anything about how that's going to shape or what form it's going to land.
Okay, thank you. So this question is sort of similar. I'm going to go ahead and kind of combine them. Where does Dynamics 365 supply chain management fit between MES and ERP material management module? What is the coverage of SCM solution in terms of MES ERP? And then what are the different integration options with major ERPs and MES options, i.e. SAP, QAD, and MAPEX? And I'm so glad you guys understand these acronyms.
Sure. So I think there's actually multiple questions in this one. So I'll just break this up a bit. Right? I think so. Today, from a product standpoint, so there are certain set of capabilities that what we support with regards to from the manufacturing execution standpoint. It's fairly primitive for an exact reason as what it is So if you recall the way as how I started this presentation, I talked about our focus is to actually provide core horizontal capabilities, supporting manufacturing, distribution, in terms of wholesale distribution, retailers, and service industries. And if you just look at manufacturing standpoints, there's varied set of manufacturing specializations that exist in practice today, right? And if you just look at metals alone, so there's steel, and then there's casting, there's forging, there's sheets. There's varied set of means and in terms of how you actually go in and do your manufacturing operations, and in terms of, and when we think about manufacturing execution, our focus have been in terms of providing horizontal capabilities. That means releasing a product for it to be something that you can produce, production plan information and the scheduling fed into the manufacturing execution system, tracking the manufacturing execution as parts go into every workstation and as parts come out, the quality aspects of the parts that are coming out to make sure that they are good, and then taking that, and then if it is the last step, doing the report as finished, aspects of things, so that you know that you have a stock that you can take it and then ship it or do whatever it is that you need to do in terms of the next step in your overall operation sequence. That's what I refer to as horizontal capabilities. And we've also integrated IoT to that as well. So if you are doing the more connected set of experience, you have a means in terms of. But to support these varied set of manufacturing practices, we actually integrate with third-party MES solutions as well. So that includes, the Rockwell, Aegis, Plex type set of solutions in terms of what we actually provide, so that you can actually go in and use those. Today, the means as how you can actually go in and integrate is using the data management-based integration that what we have today as part of finance and operations is nothing unique to supply chain management or to MES as well. So that's the only integration means by which you could actually go in and do with some based of event or the data management basis of integrations to take that, send that information to an endpoint at which you really wanted to be able to actually connect with any MES solutions if you were to. There's some work that what we are doing in this space that allows that whole integration to be something that we would ship as a template from an out-of-the-box perspective. So that's a large amount of investment that what we are doing in an MES space. So that if you are using any of these known MES providers, we would actually have an integration template out of the box. So this is something that you will start seeing from our October update onwards. And in terms of, so directionally, that's where we're heading. And this is something that you would see today if you have used from an SAP standpoint or Oracle standpoint, that you would see these standard integrations with a set of MES providers. Our goal is to make sure that we provide that capability as well as an out-of-the-box, instead of you requiring to go manually wire these sets of MES providers with the SCM system today. So that's kind of the current state in terms of where we are and where we are heading from a product standpoint as well. If you do actually want to integrate with any other system for other reasons as well, like for example, you want to integrate with another operation systems of record, whether this is a homegrown system or one of those questions that was asked, part of the questions said, I want to integrate with an SAP system, etc. And you could absolutely go in and do that. And we have customers who do this today. And even to an extent, Microsoft is our own example if we were to, and in the context of, we run our finance using SAP, and there's certain aspects of our business are run using SAP, but our data center procurement, for example, is completely managed using D365 SCM today, right? So that's a good example in terms of how you could actually correlate, and we integrate using the data management means, and in terms of how we actually support integrating with any system. And for all practical purposes, it's just an ability for you to be able to extract information in a form that you could connect to any system. And this works seamlessly with any integration providers that you could use as well. Obviously, supported with traditionally BestTalk, now more recently with logic apps, and then we also support them in the other means using the Power Automate as well, as is what we see customers using our solutions connected with a third-party systems or the traditional means, and in terms of establishing integration using any one of these integration providers as well. So we see our customers using all flavors, but the interface to from the SCM is the data management layer, and in terms of what it is, with some level of support from the eventing. We're not comprehensive on the event, but it's data management is predominantly the means and in terms of. So that's a long answer towards that question. So hopefully that makes sense. But if there's other clarifications needed, feel free to ask as well.
Great, thank you. That was one of our pre-submitted questions. And does it tie into this one as well, as far as integration with Azure IoT and IoT Central to support asset-intensive scenarios?
So what we do today, you would have recognized that there was an IoT intelligence for supply chain scenarios as something that I had called out as an existing capability. The way as how we have done this, integrating supply chain capabilities with the IoT is with IoT Hub and not the IoT Central. And there's a reason as why we did this, mainly because we want extensibility for our customers to be able to actually go in and manage in a way. So the way is how this works is you have your equipment connected with the sensors, and the sensors feed that information in real time to PCUA server that's hosted within the same premises as where you have the machines connected with the sensors. We have the IoT Hub connecting to these servers to be able to take that information in as near real time as possible. And our life cycle of the solution really starts from the IoT Hub today. And as the signals come to IoT Hub, we look at both the hard path or the real-time set of inspecting those signals and providing insights based off of that. So that's where all the alerting notifications and everything that what we support in the IoT capabilities today are based off of that real-time feed. And then we also persist that information so that we could actually understand the production over a period of time, so that we could do a much better set of fault analysis type stuff if we were to. So that's done today with the IoT Hub integration is how we are able to actually go in and do with the service that we have written that's hand wired to an IoT Hub instance that you would enable at the time of you enabling that IoT intelligence subscription. But if you want to go in and do this, there's standard means of how you can actually connect a D365 instance with that provider as well. So that's the approach that you would use if you don't use the standard capability out of the box. We don't have IoT Central based solution today within D365 SCM, but we do know that there are custom solutions that our partners have enabled for the customers to be able to actually use IoT Central based templates as well as a means to integrate. And that's very much supported today.
Wonderful, thank you. So we have a question in chat from Zane. Any upgrades in product lifecycle management, product builder, product configurator, and sample management expected in the releases soon?
So there's some work that what we are doing as an extensions towards the engineering change management that I talked about. So this is what we have released is supporting the engineering change as part of supporting the discrete manufacturing aspects of things. And we're focusing on the process aspect now, and in terms of that's the big change that you should expect from the engineering change and in terms of how we support the life cycle. No immediate changes towards the other aspects of the product areas that's been asked in terms of, and if you do need some things, then in that category, you would actually have to resort towards an extended solution if you were to, as a means and in terms of how you could actually go do that. No immediate investment plans right now.
Thank you. Well, we've got about 15 minutes left. We have no new questions in chat, and I have one left for our pre-submitted questions. So if anyone has any last-minute questions to get in for Manoj, submit them now. The next question is, how will you support companies becoming more sustainable in or with Dynamics 365? Less CO2 emissions, UN development goal compliance, fair trade, et cetera.
Really great question. So I think I think the one of the things that what we've actually done is you would have seen a product that we have launched as a part of our December update, December 2020 update. It's basically known as Microsoft Sustainability Calculator. And you would have seen that what it does basically is that it basically does the work of if you use Azure today for your business, it will tell you the impact of carbon emissions because of you using Azure, if you were to, as a means, and in terms of our next set of investments and in terms of what we are doing is to be able to take that capability but extend that to any aspects of your operations and understand your operations in a way so that we could measure and provide a view and in terms of what your carbon footprint is, water consumptions, the waste, and the products that you produce and how it can be recycled, etc. Directionally, that's where we are going. So there's no sort of firm timelines and stuff that we are able to actually share right now, but expect to see more capabilities that we would bring in. But if you haven't seen that today in terms of what we provide, I'd highly encourage you to actually go take a look at Microsoft Sustainability Calculator 2.0, and you would be able to actually see all the investments that we are doing in this space already from that product. And in that context, but that's how we intend to actually provide support for customers to be able to understand what their footprint is with regards to the way as how they're doing the business, so that they could plan for established targets and then optimize their operations in such a way so that they could become an organization as how they could run their operations in a sustainable way. So that's our goal, and in terms of where we are heading, more to come on that space.
Great, thank you. And for the audience, I did put this link to the sustainability calculator into chat. I'm also going to put a link to our survey. So please tell us how you enjoyed this AMA with Manoj. And if there aren't any other questions, I'll turn it back to Fawad to say thank you to our guest.
Wonderful. Manoj, thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to the community. A lot of great questions, and it seems like there's a lot of interest in the product here. So we're really excited about that. I do want to thank everybody who attended this event. We are bringing these AMA events to make sure that you listen to our product leaders and owners and ask them questions directly. You can continue the conversation on the community. You can go ask questions in the forums. We will also be putting this video of the event on our community, so you can go and enjoy that later if you wanted to review it. I do want to thank the people who bring this to you, specifically Daniel and Sonia, who work in the background to make sure that we bring these events to you. So thank you to them, and also thank you to the community for joining us. It's all about sharing and learning together. So we're really excited about continuing this journey within the community. Please fill the survey and come and review the video if you want, and we'll see you next time. We are planning to bring other AMA sessions, and we have Balaji, the general manager for Commerce team, who's going to be coming and talking to you all next in 1 or 2 weeks. We will be posting about the exact date of the event on LinkedIn soon. So thank you very much and have a wonderful day, everyone.